Grand Roofing DIY quick tip of the day. This guy here at this house had a leak yesterday, wasn't sure what to do, went to YouTube to figure out how to tarp his roof. Glad he did, so he didn't do more collateral damage. So what he ended up doing is getting a tarp, just kind of draping it over this area, depending upon what your leak may be, what it consists of. If it's obvious, just a little piece of damage, obvious damage, or whatever the case may be, it could be a relatively quick, simple fix right there. So if you go to tarp it and you nail down or screw down on your roof, you could cause quite a bit more collateral damage. In this case, there is no visible damage anywhere, but inside the attic, about this general area, two sheets came together and there's water trickling in at that spot. So I got up here this morning, pulled the tarp back, did not screw it through the roof or nail it to the roof. He just kind of tucked it as high up on the ridge as possible, draped it over, weighted it down with some 2x4, so that's good. Tip on that, if you put your tarp down here, if you don't tuck it under a shingle, water will run right under your tarp. It's kind of useless. So you want to make sure you either tuck under a shingle or make it just over the top of your ridge. So just keep that in mind. What I found this problem to be, looking at this, and there's a few tips, without prying your shingles apart, I don't know if I can show it on the camera, but if you just gently grab and you lift, the shingles do not give. It doesn't flex up. It tells me there's a nail in that spot, which is a no-no when you have two shingles come together. So in this general area, I was able to split a few shingles apart, and I'm pretty confident I found the issue. If you look right here, you can see the nail right in the keyway. There's another one right in the keyway. There's another one, again, right in the keyway right there. So the problem that causes, when you have a nail going through your shingle, and it blasts through the shingle, it's sealed pretty good, but you do not want to rely on that, because over time that'll start wallering out. The nail is ferrous, it's got a galvanized coating, it will eventually rust, leaving a hole right where water comes through this area. So get in the habit of making sure your pattern is correct when you're installing it. If you're an installer, if you're learning how to be a shingler, you want to make sure your nail pattern is consistent, because if your nails break in areas like this, it will be a problem down the road. Whoever roofed this section probably did this section, so chances are if you address this, you spot them, you fix it, even if you replaced it, you could have more pop up in various spots on the roof later down the road. So what we're going to do is let this dry out a little bit, because it is still pretty wet. We're going to put a 4500 GSL, it's got the tube down there, it's GSL brand, 4500, really good roofing product. It'll seal to this in wet conditions, but it's better if it's dry, so we're going to give it some time to dry. Make sure you spot every one of those, check the area out. This is a little different issue. I mean, so they're probably going to be in other areas. So here's a good example. Let me see if I can hold the camera really careful here. If you pick up, the shingles are stuck together from the seal strip, but you can see this one raising a little bit. It tells me there's no nail pinning it down. That's good. This one does not give as much. It's looking like there might be a nail right over here. So that's a bit of a problem. That's how you can correct it. This still has a little bit of life in it, so we're going to just caulk the nails that are in those keyways. You could remove the shingles completely, replace the shingles, but it's kind of scattered about the whole roof, so we're going to seal it, give some time, let the owner know he can kind of plan for a roof down the road. The other thing right here I'm going to address while I'm here real quick and do a quick how-to. There's no flashing here. This shingle tucks under, that's not quite an issue, but right here is not good. The other thing you want to be aware of if you're an installer, it's a good habit, at least my opinion, for this shingle that goes down to put it down and then put your edge metal on top. Not that there's a lot of water running down this, but if it does, it now goes under this shingle, plus this is exposed. So, real quick, to save some time on camera, I took the nail out here, flat barred these loose a little bit, put a very small slit right here. We're going to add a slit right here and add 2 pieces of flashing. See without my GoPro mask on if I can set this right here for you guys. So small one I got, it's going to go under all of this, about here. Because there's a trim board out from here, we're going to put the second one out on that, and I'll show you that trimming down process. So it's a piece of aluminum, not galvanized. Yeah, there's people that comment, if you want to do copper, lead, great. You know, the point is we're going to stop the leak. If you want to spend the money for the additional stuff that doesn't rust out, great, but aluminum's a better choice than steel. Get that shoved up under there, as far up there as you can get it. We'll put a nail on it. Actually, let's trim that down just a little bit more, because it is a little visible. We'll get a nail through that here in a minute. Second piece is just bent. It was a 4x4x8. We're not going to keep it. That's just way too big. So bent it flat, pounded it flat, whatever. We're just going to kind of set this in the area here. We're going to just kind of mark a line here. Cut that. So when it's shoved up all the way, it's going to be in there. Then just shorten it here. Again, so it's not visible. And just a little here so we don't have to worry about a nail getting caught. Using a hook blade or straight, whichever, just be careful. We're just going to hook this piece of aluminum trim board and just slice a little bit so we can work that flashing in there. And then going under the ridge cap and the top shingle, trim that ridge cap back, because the ridge cap did go back in there a ways, but it's going to be in the way, posing a problem here. Cut up just a little bit more. I feel like I'm about to slice my finger open. Here we go. The old faithful mag hatchet by AJC. So if you're a roofer, you gotta have one of these. Okay, we're gonna catch that metal there. And some sort of sealer. In this case, I just got GSL on the gun to hold that down. That there is taken care of, but we're going to address this piece of flashing and the hole and the way the shingle's on top. We're going to fix that there real quick too. Shingle's actually kind of torn there. Try to pop that piece of flashing loose down at the bottom and then roll it up and over the shingle. This isn't a big deal, but it's just a minor detail that if you want to pay attention to, because there's not a lot of water getting on this, and if it does, that's what these little ribs are for, not just to stiffen it, but to cause a slight channel so the water will trickle down and not in further. But you can kind of see there's a bit of a dirty water trail in here. Not much. So, and this shingle is torn. It shouldn't be torn like that. Actually, it's pretty much broken completely. It's kind of old for a while. What we're going to do is get this tucked under there. A little hard to do. Can we manipulate that under? It's kind of oxidized. It's an oxidized shingle. It's kind of dry and brittle, so you got to be careful with that. There that is. And because that shingle is split, we're going to add a little larger piece up on that. Just a few dabs to hold this back down. These shingles are breaking apart relatively easy, and we didn't go any higher than that. Give that a little time to dry up a little bit. We are going to caulk just this fine little point right here. And clean up a little bit. So I'll get all this little bit of stuff cleaned up here. As far as this, again, homeowner was up here, he was doing the tarp stuff, so he opted to agree with me. If he doesn't mind coming up, we're gonna wait for it to dry out. He's gonna just seal that stuff up with GSL 4500 left down there on the porch for him. So that's what I'm doing here for this guy. We're off to the next one. If you liked it, give it a quick thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the next video. Ring the bell so you're notified when I upload it. And until next time, be safe, and we'll see you then.